So the foreigner got down. We had done up till over here that the foreigner had come, got down from this vehicle, come to Muni, and he offered a smoke to Muni. And he was now conversing with Muni. And when he noticed this horse statue, he was fascinated by it, right? And then after having a smoke, he took out his visiting card from his pocket and he gave that visiting card to Muni and said that I come from New York. All right. So this foreigner has come from New York and he's offering his card to Muni. Muni shrank away from the card. So now obviously he's terrified. He's thinking that he's a policeman. He doesn't know what he's saying. And so he could not make out that what this person was saying, and he shrank away means like positioned himself back. Perhaps he was trying to present a warrant and arrest him. So now he knew that when policemen come, they show you papers, that is the arrest warrant, right? And then they arrest people. So he thought that this card, he's not literate, he doesn't know what is written in the card. So he thought that this is an arrest warrant and now this person is going to arrest me, right? Beware of Khaki. Now, this is what he had learned, that beware of Khaki, right? One part of his mind warned. So now what his mind is saying, that you should be aware of these policemen, right? Take all the cigarettes or whatever is offered, but do not get caught. You can take whatever is offered, but you should not get caught. Beware of Khaki. Now, this is a typical thinking that even the common folk, they are a bit apprehensive of they are a bit afraid of what these policemen might do, right? They might, catch you and then maybe beat you, get you into a lot of trouble, anything. So this is a conception and of the common folk, the common people. So similarly, Muni is also thinking that I must be aware of this policeman. I can, one must take all that is offered, but one must never get caught. He wished he weren't 70 as the shopman had said. So now earlier he did not have an idea of his age, but now since the shopkeeper had said that you are 70, he has now believed it, right? Has believed it that yes, maybe I must be 70 years of age. So he said that I wish that I was not 70. Why? Because he couldn't run in this old age. Had he been younger, he would have run away from the spot and saved himself, right? At 70, one didn't run but surrendered to whatever came. That is, whatever comes to one's way, one has to surrender to that in old age. Why? Because they cannot do anything, right, against it. So he is 70, he cannot run away from the place, so he must surrender. He could only ward off trouble by talk. So the only thing with which he could save himself or ward off any trouble was by medium of conversing. So he went on. So now he went on talking, all in the chaste Tamil for which Kritam was famous. So Kritam village was famous for its Tamil, right? The beautiful language of Tamil. So he went on speaking and chattering in Tamil. He said, before God, Sir Bhagwan, who sees everything. So now now remember that these dialogues are not in English, right? These are in Tamil. So when he's saying, Muni is saying all of this, he's saying in Tamil. So he's saying that, Bhagwan sees everything. I tell you, sir, we know nothing of the case, right? So now there has been some case, and according to Muni, and this policeman has come to investigate that case, and so he's saying that I am before God, before Bhagwan who knows everything, before that God, I am saying that I do not know nothing about the case. If murder was committed, now please underline this, that he is He is swearing oath of God, right? Underline this. This is going to be useful when I'll explain the question answers later on. All right. So now he's saying that if murder was committed, whoever did it will not escape. He's saying that you don't worry. I don't know anything, but God is there. He sees everything. If a murder was committed, then whoever was the culprit will not be able to escape. Bhagwan is all seeing. Underline this. That he believes that Bhagwan is all seeing. He sees everything. He knows everything. Don't ask me about it. I know nothing. So he believes that there is a God who's going to take care of things. He knows things and he never leaves the culprits alone, and he is going to take care of everything. Please don't ask me anything about the case because I do not know anything. A body had been found mutilated and thrown under a tamarind tree at the border between Kritam and Kupam a few weeks before. So now he keeps saying na, that of the case, what is the case? The case was that a body had been found mutilated. Mutilated means, destroyed and disfigured. All right. Write it down, that destroyed or disfigured, so that you cannot identify it, right? So the body had been maybe cut off, right? So cut into pieces, or it had been disfigured so that one could not identify the body. And this body was thrown under a tamarind tree. All right. Where it was thrown, this tree was on the border between Kritam and Kupam village, right? The border between these two villages, there was a tamarind tree, and under this tree, this body was thrown, giving rise to much gossip and speculation. So because one could not identify this body, so nobody knew whose is it, to which village did it belong, nothing is known, right? So there was much gossip about it, right? Obviously, when such a case has occurred, so there was much speculation, means guesswork. So there was much talks and guessing that who must have done it, and who might this person be, right? So there was much talking going about it. Muni added an explanation. So now he is saying that anything is possible there. People over there will stop at nothing. That, one has murdered. Now times have come that people can even murder, they can do anything. Anything is possible over here. The foreigner nodded his head and listened courteously, though he understood nothing. So this is another example when you will be explaining the traits of this foreigner, that he is a courteous man. You can give the example why he's courteous, because although he was not understanding anything because he did not know Tamil language, still he kept listening to Muni very attentively and kept nodding his head, right? Just to, not to hurt Muni's feelings. I'm sure you know when the horse was made, said the red man and smiled ingratiatingly. So now this foreigner, he, could not make out what Muni was saying. And where was his mind stuck? At the horse statue, right? His mind is there still. All right. So ingratiatingly means intending to gain approval. All right. So he thought that Muni was all the while speaking about the horse. So he kept nodding his head and said that, yes, yes, I know. I'm very sure that you must be knowing that when this horse was made. And then he smiled in a way as if to win over Muni, right? Muni reacted to the relaxed atmosphere by smiling himself and pleaded. So now Muni felt that I have convinced the foreigner about the murder, that I have nothing to do with it, right? So now, because the policeman is smiling, so everything is fine now. The atmosphere has relaxed and there's no more tension. There is no more tension now, and so now he was very happy, and he also smiled and then pleaded. Pleaded means requested. Please go away, sir. I know nothing. So he's now convincing the foreigner further and saying that I know nothing. Please go away. I promise we will hold him for you if we see any bad character around. So if we find someone suspicious, then we will hold him for you, or we'll keep him and we'll inform you. And we'll bury him up to his neck in a coconut pit if he tries to escape. So now how he is convincing the foreigner that we will, if we see someone suspicious or a bad character person, then what we are going to do, we are going to hold him, or we are going to trap him, we are going to keep him imprisoned. And if he tries to escape, what we are going to do, we are going to dig a pit, and then we're going to put that man in up to the neck. That is, he will be buried inside the ground and only his neck would be out, so he would not be able to move and run away or escape, right? So this is the condition that he is setting and saying that I'm going to do this. So now Muni is saying that, but our village has always had a clean record. So if we are going to find someone suspicious, we are going to hold him for him. Although our village has a clean record, means there have been no, murder or these things, no crime in our village, must definitely be the other village. So because the body was found and the border of two villages, between the two villages, so our village is very, good, we have a clean record. It must be the other village who has person from the other village who has done this. So he is just convincing the foreigner. Now the red man implored. Implored also means impleaded, pleaded. All right, implored means pleaded. So now he is pleading Muni, again requesting him, please, please, I will speak slowly. Please try to understand me. So now you can say this is more intense form of request. All right. You can see the number of times he's saying please. So this is not just requesting. This is, very requesting it with quite much, intensity. Please, please, I will speak very slowly. Please try to understand me. Can't you understand even a simple word of English? So now the foreigner is saying, foreigner understood that Muni is not able to understand me, and he is not speaking in English. So he's asking that, can't you understand even a word of English? Everyone in this country seems to know English. So previously, to the places he must have gone, he might have met people who conversed with him in English. So now he said that everywhere else, everybody seems to know English. I have gotten along with English everywhere in this country, means wherever I went, I could go along with English. I had no problem, right? I could get people who were speaking in English, but you don't speak it. But here, over here, now you don't speak it. Have you any religious or spiritual scruples against English speech? So now he's saying that, do you have any religious or spiritual doubt against English speech? Now, why religious or spiritual? Because it was believed that this was a foreign language. Even when the Britishers were trying to popularize English in India, there were speculations that these Britishers are trying to do away with our language and customs, and they are introducing foreign things, and this is going to affect our religion, and this is going to affect our culture. All right, this was the concept. There were speculations regarding this. So now similar thing has been asked by this foreigner, and he's asking Muni that, do you have any religious scruple, means doubt. All right, so do you have some doubts regarding your spiritual things or religious things against English speech? Why don't you speak English? Means everybody else is speaking, only you are not speaking. So are you having something personal with it, right? Is there any problem regarding speaking in English? Muni made some indistinct sounds in his throat. Indistinct means not clear, means some weird sounds he made in his throat, and shook his head. Now he couldn't understand, so he just shook his head, not understanding. Encouraged, whether the other went on to explain at length. So now when he shook his head, that means saying a no. So the foreigner said that, he got encouraged that fine, he doesn't have any problem with English speech. So he got encouraged and he went on explaining, uttering each syllable with care and deliberation. Means in order to make Muni understand, he was now speaking very slowly and, separating word by word. Like sometimes I do, I go very slow and utter words differently so that you are able to understand, right? So similarly, the foreigner was also speaking in this way, right? So going very slow, uttering one syllable, and that too with very much care, right? Presently, he sidled over and took a seat beside the old man. So now the Muni was sitting on the pedestal of the horse. So now he also went over and he sat beside the old man, that is Muni, explaining. What he's explaining? You see, last August, we probably had the hottest summer in history. Now, one thing, you can underline this. He is, when he's saying that, you don't speak in English, do you have some doubt or problem against English language? So we see that he is also not able to speak Tamil, but he doesn't take that as something negative, and he has no problem with it, but he expects others that they should know English, right? He himself doesn't know Tamil, but he doesn't find anything wrong with that, but he expects others to know English, right? Then now he's telling his story and saying that, you see, last August we probably had the hottest summer in history. I was working in shirt sleeves in my office. Shirt sleeves means he's wearing a shirt with sleeves, right? So now that clothing is something not very well suited for summers because you feel the heat, right? In my office of 40th floor of the Empire State Building. So now he has his office at the 40th floor, right? He has the Empire State Building is there, and on the 40th floor he had his office. That is quite high above, right? So it must have been quite warm, right? And he was working in wearing a shirt, and we had a power failure one day. So he had a power failure for an entire one day. What happened, that there was a power failure, and there I was stuck for 4 hours. So now this is something very, intense and terrible for him, that he had to stay without air conditioning for 4 hours. No elevator, no air conditioning. So he was at the 40th floor and the elevator was also not working. So he could not come down and, go to his home or somewhere else. And there was no air conditioning also. So he had to stay for 4 hours without any services, without any of the air conditioning or something. So he had to stay there in the heat. So this was something very terrible for him. All right. All the way in the train, I kept thinking, and the minute I reached home, so now when the power failure, everything was fine and the elevator started working, he came home, and he came home by train, right? So there are metro and all, right? He's talking about New York, right? So there people usually take trains to their offices and then back home and all. So it was not like something very far away. It was a daily mode of transport. So he took a train, and he while he was coming back, he kept thinking. And the minute he reached home in Connecticut, I told my wife, Ruth, what did he tell his what did he tell his wife? That we will visit India this winter. It's time to look at other civilizations. Now, staying for 4 hours without the air conditioning was too much for him to handle. And what did he decide? He decided to go to India and look at other civilizations. For what? For settling down. He could not bear that heat and he wanted to leave the place and settle somewhere else. Next day, she called the travel agent first thing and told him to fix it. So what did his wife do? The name of his wife is Ruth, right? Over here it's given na. I told my wife Ruth. So the wife also quickly next day in the morning called a travel agent and asked him to fix an arrangement for traveling to India. And so here I am. And so I came over here. Ruth came with me, but is staying back at Srinagar. So Ruth has also come to India, but she is staying in Srinagar. And I am the one doing the rounds and joining her later. And I am doing the rounds means I'm going to visiting all the places and checking things, whatever he had desired. He said now that I am going to have a look at the other civilizations. So he must have gone to various places and um, got details of it. So he said that I am the one who's doing all the thing and I'll be joining her later when he will have done his work. Muni looked reflective at the end of his long oration. So now Muni is listening to it very intently and he is like kind of reflective means, in a very thoughtful mood. All right, lost in deep thoughts. He was listening and then he was trying to understand that what is this foreigner saying. So he was lost in his thought and said rather feebly, yes, no. So the again the two words that he knew of English, he said both the words as a concession to the other language. So now when he kept on saying, when the foreigner said the entire thing. So Muni, after listening to the entire thing, whatever the foreigner had to tell him, Muni said that yes, no, right? As if whatever you are saying is fine, I have accepted it, right? Admitting something that fine, whatever you're saying is correct. And went on in Tamil. And then he started speaking in Tamil. When I was this high, he indicated a foot high, means he indicated from by his hand that, this high, like we show na that like this much and that much we show by measurements. So he showed a gesture which was 1 foot high. I heard my uncle say. What did he hear his uncle say? Now he was going to tell. No one can tell what he was planning to say. Now, this is the narrator speaking that, one could not have known that now what is he going to say? What had he understood from all this long speech that foreigner had given? And now what he was going to say? Can you make out from, by Muni that what was he going to say? Nobody knew, right? As the other interrupted him at this stage to ask, boy, what is the secret of your teeth? How old are you? So this foreigner is also a confused lot. He keeps shifting his attention to this, to that, and to that. So now, as Muni was going to say something, he noticed Muni's teeth, and now he interrupted Muni, and he said, "Now, boy, what is the secret of your teeth? How old are you?" Muni forgot what he had started to say and remarked. Now Muni forgot it that what he was going to say. And now he said something else. Now what he says, sometimes we too lose our cattle. Jackals or cheetahs may sometimes carry them off. So a totally entire thing, right? We don't know what he understood, what he made out from the speech of the foreigner, and now he is replying, something totally out of the world. He's saying that yes, sometimes we also lose our cattle. Cattle refers to the sheep, goats, cows, right? So he's saying that we also lose our cattle. The jackals and cheetahs, they can come and they carry them off. But sometimes it is just theft from over the next village. So now he's still thinking about theft and murder and all. Why? Because this is a policeman sitting beside me. So when he's saying something, he must be talking about some or the other case. So now he's thinking that he must be asking about some theft or something, robbery or something like that. So he says that yes, we also lose our cattle. Sometimes it is the jackal or cheetahs that carry them off, but sometimes it is the people of the next village who do this. Then we will know who has done it. And if it is someone who has from the next village who has done it, then we come to know about it. How do we come to know about it? Our priest at the temple can see in the camphor flame. So now underline this. This is something that you can pick up while talking about belief in superstition. Write it down over there. Belief in superstition. So our priest at the temple, what he does do, he can see in camphor flame the face of the thief and when he's caught. So he's saying that what does the thief, what does the priest do? He lights up camphor. Camphor, it's a aromatic substance. Yes, you know the Hindi name for it. So he burns that, and in the flame he can see the face of the thief, and then we catch that person. And when he's caught, then what Muni is doing, he is gesturing, that is making indications with hands, a perfect mincing of meat. That is, he did a gesture like this, right? Mincing of meat. So when the thief is caught, what is done? He is done like this. So he is explaining it to the foreigner that if a thief is there, then he is not spared, because our village priest comes to know about it, because he can see the face of the thief in the camphor flame, and then he gets a good one from the people. So now this is something like belief in superstition. You cannot see the face of a person in the fire, right? So that is what that is the villagers are believing. The priest is making a fool of them, right? And he's saying that I can see the face of the thief, right? This is something not true. You cannot see the face of a person in a flame, right? All right, so we'll stop over here.